Okay, I got a request to do a Snyder projectile point. And I'm going to use Burlington chert. Now it says here, let's see here. Oh, this is projectilepoints.net. Okay, I usually go to this site because it's the easiest, it has everything in one spot. And it says here, heat treatment is commonly used. Okay, exotic materials such as Burlington chert, Cobden chert, Hickston silicified sandstone, and Knife River flint are some of the ones that they used. So I did a Snyder's point not long ago, and it was like this one right here. But today's probably going to be more like these two. As you can see, it's a supposedly there's a range. See how small this stem is and how big that stem is? So there's a range in stem size. This one here is pretty typical of what I see modern nappers do. That style right there. But this style is very distinctive here, where the notches have that special shape with a pointed foot at the bottom of the notch. I see a lot of modern nappers do this one here. I like this style here because it's got a wide base and I can easily put this kind of notch in. They're not very deep. But we're going to try for this one here. Okay. Then we're going to use this, the most colorful one I got. Okay. And it's also the largest piece. Now it says on projectilepoints.net that the average size is 2.5 to 3 inches long. So you guys that are thinking that they're super long and super big and wide, no. This is going to be 5, so this is going to be much bigger than average. This one is bigger too, but it's more in line with. See, this is over 3 inches too. So 3-inch Snyders is only going to be like that, made out of something like this. Okay, so just be aware that what I'm making is going to be much oversized. And if modern nappers are making stuff over 3 inches, as far as Snyders go, they're going for the 1% of the artifacts, as far as I know. Of course, everyone's fascinated by the 1% of the artifacts and not the usual. The usual is meh. Or maybe I should start with the small one and then work my way up. How's that? Maybe I'll do that. I will eventually, well, I will do that one, but I might just do this one as a biface and then offer it in the auction as a big biface, and then you can put the notches in. How's that? You might not even want a Snyder's. So I might, if I use this one for a big Snyder's, I might be wasting it. Yeah. It's been a long time since I've worked heat-treated Burlington heat treat. Alright, so we're going to go with the aluminum again. Aluminum seemed to work pretty good on the heat treat last time. I'm going to use the big old hunking abrader. Usually I buy the grinding wheels for bench grinders and then break them into fourths, you know. But this one makes short work of everything. I don't know how much these go for. I would imagine it's pretty expensive. Okay. That was a gift, by the way. I didn't buy that one. I usually don't spend much money on my knappings. Unless I'm buying stone. I spend most of my money on stone, as far as knapping goes. So where's the tip and where's the base and all that stuff? I don't know yet. I think I know. I think maybe I'll make this the tip and that the base. As long as it's 3 inches, yeah. See, it's over 3 inches, so this is pretty good size. It's a perfect day for Easter. Hope you guys are having a good day where you are. It's a perfect day here. 73 degrees, sunny, breezy, but not too breezy. In typical fashion, I went to a barbecue just a few minutes ago. Picked up a plate of Texas barbecue. My kids are grown, so we did not do the Easter egg thing. I miss it though. I miss the Easter egg thing. That was fun. Maybe with the grandkids. Maybe. I'm not expecting any grandkids anytime soon, though. There's no rush. Some people want the grandkids right away, but not with me yet. No rush, no rush. So how does this nap? It naps pretty darn good. It reminds me of porcelain. Real porcelain. Not the bathroom type porcelain, but stuff that's expensive. Like casserole dish porcelain. How do I know about casserole dishes porcelain? I don't know. Have there been some breakages in my household that I scavenged? Maybe. Maybe that's how I know. Could be. Golly, that flakes like really good. Oh yeah. Goodness. Yeah. This is like Keo cooked, but high quality Keo cook. Back in the day when I first started buying Keo cook, it was all like this kind of high quality stuff. These days it's not all that great. I don't know what happened. Beautiful. I can make some easy peasy arrowheads out of that. Of course, it'll be really delicate. Look at that. Thinning flakes. Sweetness. No wonder you guys out there are napping lots of Burlington. Dang it. Heat treated Burlington. You just look at it and then it'll flake. Yeah. I'm just going through the motions, hitting it. Yeah. It'll just do whatever you want. It's highly cooperative. I suppose if you heat treat it correctly, it acts like this. If you don't heat treat it correctly, it may be kind of a pain. I don't know. But yeah, I just look at this and it flakes correctly. Yep. I gotta make sure I don't take it for granted though, because it could be snap in half type stuff. When I say that, I mean it snap in half more easily than other cherts or heat treats. This one seems okay. This is not too much on the delicate side so far, because if it was really, really delicate, I couldn't get flakes like that. It would snap in the middle or something. There's some flexibility in this one. So yeah, I've seen a lot of videos where you guys are knapping this Burlington. Making some cool points. And I figured, yeah, Burlington's just like every other type of heat-treated shirt. You never know. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, sometimes it naps well, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the flakes go where you want, sometimes they don't. That's the usual thing. But no, these flakes, this is sweet. Easy peasy, relatively speaking. If I lived near a source of this Burlington stuff, I think that's the only thing I'd be napping for quite some time. Yeah, why put up with anything else? Yeah. Do you guys get tired of napping this stuff? If you do, you're spoilt. User, you're spoilt. You get tired of napping this? I don't know about you guys. I can't think of it much else that's easier than this. Now it might be steppy. Maybe that's what people get tired of. It might be steppy. I haven't gotten to the thinning the thin point yet. I'm just regularizing it. It started off as kind of a wonky piece. Yeah. It does feel a little bit snappish. Like I gotta be careful now. I don't want to snap it. Now I gotta figure out what to do on this side. Carefully contour it, very carefully. These Snyder's points are wide, so I gotta try to preserve the width. As far as I know, Burlington's not all that rare. It's found in a very large area. Various grades, right? As you can see, there's some's pink, some is white, some is probably on the grayish side. I don't know. It grinds down easy. Okay. Let's see. The good thing about it, it does not dive in. It might be because it's really thick right now, but sometimes when you hit that stuff, it wants to dive in. When you hit to an area like that, really, really hard, like I'm doing, I'm not worried about the step fractures because it's easy to get it from the other side, relatively speaking. Because it flakes easy. Yeah. I can actually plan on getting those from the other side. Okay, so because it is a little wonky, I might have to make it more narrow than usual. I don't think these are beveled, right? They're not beveled. They're just random flaking. See, I didn't even need to get that from the other side. Look at that. Amazing. Alrighty. Yeah, I better not snap it because then all of these praises I've been giving the stone won't be worth anything if I end up snapping it. It does say that most of these are thin, but some of them are not, so I got leeway. But they say most of these are very well made. I believe it. I remember that from the last time I napped one of these. The explanation said very well made. High quality flaking. Now this is an aluminum rod, 1/2 inch. I like to use aluminum on heat treat. It's less smashy on the edges. Although I can make it work in most cases. Not in all cases. I can make the steel work even on Obsidian. The most smashy thing ever. Goodness gracious. Yeah, with this stuff I can actually draw out where I think the flake's going to go, and pretty close. Ooh, that one didn't go all the way. It tried to. Oh yeah, okay. I was going to say, dang it, it's starting to look like all the other heat treats. Let's see. Okay, so I just need to get rid of that lump. I gotta focus because if I don't hit this right, I'm gonna lose a lot of width. If I don't prepare these edges right, and if I don't hit them right, it's a two-step process. You gotta prepare the edges correctly, and then hit them correctly. To get the desired result. And whittle it down little by little. In this case, I'm just going to whittle it down little by little. And sometimes I'm hitting above center line. Just slightly above center line. Not too badly. Yeah, it even lets me hit the front of that step with a big old thick tool and have some good result just by hitting the front of that step fracture. where a lot of times that doesn't work at all. Voila! Alright, stage 1 is over. Let's pick up some flakes. Alright, I'm going to save these for sure. I know someone that'll like the little ones too. I think I mentioned that before. These little micro flakes. If you like these, let me know, because a lot of times I end up throwing away the micro flakes. What I call micro flakes, because they're so thin and there's not much to do with them except miniature points. Yeah. I'll save these two. Let's see. I got another box over here for those. Okay. Yeah, it naps like a high-grade porcelain and almost like glass. And I imagine it's because it's been heat treated to perfection at just the right temperature for just the right amount of time. And there's no natural cracks or seams in this material. I didn't see any problems with it at all as far as the material goes. Okay. I need to set out my pressure flakers in a good organized fashion. Hold on. I'm going to use, I got a variety of pressure flakers now. See that? Where's my pointy copper? I don't like to use pointy copper because it takes too much time to maintain it. So I use a big fat nail, steel nail. See, it's already, this has already got a burr on it. Up on this upper edge. See that? A little burr right there too. You got to maintain it a lot. Messes with your mojo. Right in the middle of doing your flint napping, you got to sit there and do this stuff. Okay. I'm not going to use it right now. But when I get ready to, I don't want to have to dress it up. Alright. Let's see. Now I'm not going to zoom in because last time I was out of the frame too much. I was making myself anxious reviewing the video. Yeah, looks like I need to abrade. Some of these edges are already pretty good, but there are thick spots. By pretty good, I mean thin down. There's not much pressure flaking to do, but where there is, it's pretty thick. All right. Now I noticed some crushing when I was just testing it out with the pressure flaker, so I got to abrade a good deal. Okay. Yeah, no issues with the pressure flaking. As long as you abrade it. Yeah. even with the steel. Of course, it's mild steel, so it's not the hardened steel. Don't try to use hardened steel if in case you don't know. And you can try using hardened steel with notching. Sometimes it works. I still like using soft steel for notching, but you can use hardened steel. Especially on narrow entry notching. You don't want to grab the edge at all, you just want to take flakes off. The more you grab the edge, the more surrounding material it tends to wipe away. You don't want to do wiping away of surrounding material when you're doing narrow entry notching. You want an extremely thin edge and a nice hard, but not too hard, flaker. Not too hard, because then it's the other extreme. It gets too forceful and it'll make a flake that's too big. I should probably hit this with indirect percussion down here. But it pressure flakes very well. I can apply a lot of pressure and not get a bite. Yeah, that's pretty good. A bite is a circular removal of the edge, or a semicircular removal. Like someone took a bite out of the edge. Not like these little bitty bites. I mean a big one. I don't know how many new guys I have watching. I always try to address the new guys, but there might not be that many watching. So you might find me very repetitive. Now I'm abrading to see if I need to thin any more. I regularize the edge just now. I do see some thinning areas, or areas that I could be thinning. And once I do that, I'll do the final pass of pressure, and then I'll do the notching. Sometimes the notching is done before the upper blade is finished. I don't know how the Snyder's people did theirs. I assume the notching was last, because when it says high quality knapping on the blade, what I imagine is to make a perfect preform and then do whatever else to it. That ends up looking like a very, very high quality workpiece when you do all the flattening and nice flaking in the beginning. Alright, I am going to use some indirect percussion for the final thinning. This time with a 3/8 inch rod, aluminum. I'm going to make sure there's no rock chips embedded in the tip. And I'll test to see how it works down here near the base first. It works well. Very well. Okay. If any of you guys are having trouble with Burlington chert, let me know, because it's not the material. Yeah. Let me know what issues you might have with this, and then I'll try to address them. Because it's probably your technique and not the material. I can't do too much about addressing the material, but I can try to help you with the technique. Some guys ask me questions about this material or that material. I really can't do anything for you, usually, because these materials are different. They vary. Now, with Burlington, the last stuff that I worked was pretty good also. Yeah, if you're having trouble with the Burlington with the step fractures, that means you're biting off way more than you can chew. As long as you keep it, as long as you moderate how much you're removing and don't go too crazy, it's really good. Yeah, I'm starting to reach the limits though. When it starts to look weird on the flake removals and radial cracks start showing their ugly heads, then that's the time to quit. Time to quit trying to thin it down and just go with what you got. Now some guys will say, well, that happens right away, as soon as I start napping. Yeah, I feel for you. I know. How thin are the tips on these things? I don't even know. The tips are not that pointy. So I'm wondering if they're thick as well. I'm just going to taper it. That's the default. The default setting on tips is to taper it down. Taper it evenly. Don't leave any lumps near the tip, and no step fractures near the tip. And a lot of artifacts have pressure flaking only at the tip. But I like to do indirect percussion at the tip because it allows me to take off bold flakes, which can clean up a lot of mess. Like, it just helped me clean off a little bit of that step fracture. Let me see. I don't need to go any thinner. No. Could use a few cleaning flakes, but I'm just being spoiled. I don't have to. That almost reached that little flickery area. Let's see. My tablet's already. Let's see. Let's see what the tablet says on the shape of the tip. It could be more narrow. Yeah. If I make it thinner, or if I make it more narrow, I can make it thinner. They don't have side views on this. Let's see. Yeah, I could make the tip, like this tip is rounded, but I think I'm within range right now. Yeah. I'll just leave it. I'm tempted to thin it just a little bit more. Yeah, just a little bit more, I guess. Good enough. Yeah, if I were to compare this to the Georgia chert that I've been napping lately, the Georgia chert, this butterscotch stuff that you can nap raw, it's predictable like this, but it's much more difficult to run a long flake without errors in it. This one you can run long flakes that are pretty decent without, errors in the flaking, like weird ripples or step fractures at the end, or fanning out in areas you don't want it to fan out into, or overshots. Those are difficulties in the long flakes. Now this one can probably overshot pretty easy, or overshoot pretty easy. The Georgia raw chert doesn't overshoot all that easily by mistake. You can always intentionally overshoot and just roll the dice and see what happens. But this stuff and the Georgia raw chert, there's not much on the downside. There's not much to speak about on the downside of those two. This is pretty good. I like the Georgia butterscotch. I also like the Georgia heat treat swirl. That's the stuff I've been napping lately. This is easier to nap than Dacite. This stuff. This Burlington, heat treated Burlington, is easier. It'd be much easier on your nerves than Dacite. In case you don't know. In case you're wondering. All right, I'm going to put the notches in, and then I'll sharpen up the blade. So I said I was going to do this one here. The notches droop down. The base is kind of flat, although a lot of these bases are not flat. They're rounded. All right, so let's just do this slowly so I don't mess up the look of the barbs and the look of the base. It's not a narrow entry. So I don't have to worry about that. The barbs do go in a little bit. Yeah. But not too much. Barbs don't curl in very much, just slightly. So yeah, nothing special. I'm just going to crunch these in. Did I lose some of that edge? I think I did lose some of it. Yeah. See, I lost some of that barb. So I got to be careful. Careful with the pressure. Not too much pressure. It doesn't really need that much pressure. Okay. Pretty straightforward stuff. Yeah. Now I can see where if you were notching an arrow point, there'd be a great danger of breaking the whole thing. I'm napping on the wrong side of the pad. Yeah, it feels really crackly when notching, so I can see that you might have a difficult time with notching on an arrow point. Especially if you got the arrow point really thin. It's a little bit crackly. I'm going to try for some nice pop outs at the end so it doesn't look like I stalled it. Do I see stalled notches on this? Let's see. There's a little bit of a stall there. There's a nice clean pop out on the left. These are not clean pop outs. These look clean. That one looks pretty clean. These are just normal. Everything else looks like normal crunched in notches, with some of them with nice pop outs. All right, so 50-50. Some are nice pop outs, some are crunched in. Some are crunched in like that, some have nice pop outs like that. Okay. There you go. I should be hearing snaps instead of crunching. Even though I'm crunching them in, I shouldn't be hearing too many crunches. I think I can zoom in a little bit. See, so I'm crunching in the sides here just to even them up. And I rub the bottom of the notch to make it dull so I can push a flake off. That's medium pressure. That's not that hard. And then crunch in the rest of it just to shape it up a little bit. Make it dull for the next pop out. You know, push on a big firm area to get the nice flake. So I need to even that up somehow, right? So let's do the symmetry. The sides of the notches on most artifacts, you know, these sides in here are thin on most artifacts, so I gotta make it thin, and then we'll work on the symmetry. So there's a thick spot right there, so let me take that out if I can. Yeah. So on most artifacts, the sides of these notches are thin. So I try to keep that in mind when I'm doing this. Now when I looked at the Snyders over here, some of them, like, see that right there? This one right here does not look like it's thin. It just looks kind of lumpy. But in other ones, these look thin on the sides. These look thin. This one looks a little lumpy. That looks thin. The rest of these are average. These look thin on this one. All right. So again, it varies. It looks like it might be varying depending on the skill of the napper. All right, so I got to even out the notches. This one on this side, I blew off some of the barbs, so it's wider than this side. These look pretty symmetrical. This one is not here. This one's pretty symmetrical. These are not. This is not. This one looks symmetrical. Just got a little ding right there. For the most part, it's symmetrical. So I'm going to try to get these symmetrical, which means I'm going to have to widen this side. But let me make this side look better first. And then we'll match it on the other side. Not like that, but I guess that's all right. I can see where it's going to get steppy. Yeah, if I don't do bold flakes, it gets rather steppy and flakery. That one was hard pressure because I wanted to get that pop out. That was the hardest one of all so far. As far as the amount of force I used. That was the most forceful pressure flake so far. And then medium on the other side. Yeah. I'm going to go a little bit deeper on this side. It's getting kind of crunchy. I need a good pop out. Yeah, when I zoom in, it's hard for me to stay in frame. All right. Pop out. Can't see it. But it's a nice pop out. Yeah. Not difficult on this material. The pop outs on the notches are not difficult on this material. Okay, so I don't know how wonky these bases are on the real ones. I'm going to assume that they're not wonky, and I'll try to fix it up. I say that because some of the local points around here are very, very base wonky. They're not even or level at all. They're not even touched up. It just looks like they just hammered out the base with an indirect percussion tool, and that's it. Or even with a small hammerstone. They're not touched up at all on some of these local ones. Alright, so I'm just going to go through and get the thick spots. Let's see, let's try the copper. Yeah, okay. Now, why didn't I use copper for the notching? Because it's kind of delicate. Some of those pressure flakes were hard enough to bend the copper nail. And I did hammer this flat, so it's a little bit harder than the rest of the copper. So that the tip is hardened a little bit when you flatten it. So just be aware that I am using a a hammered flat tip, so it's a little bit harder than usual as far as the strength of it. And I'm not sure if some copper hardens faster than other copper alloys. It could be that the copper nail alloy doesn't harden very much when you flatten it. I don't know. Nails are made of special alloys that allow them to be abused without breaking and without hardening. All right, so I think that's it. Unless I want to get a thinner edge. I could go through and try to scoop out some of this. You know, put in some bulbs of percussion to scoop it out. Can you see the notches the way they are? Does it look right? It's kind of fancier than these. I tried to match this one down here. This middle left one right there. Yeah. I mean, that one has a little bit of the ears sticking out a little bit. The ears are accentuated. I could try to do that. You know, the ears are accentuated a little bit. They stick out a little bit. Fancy schmancy. Anyway, there it is. I'm gonna, that was a teaser. I'm gonna make a biface out of this one and not worry about the Snyder. All right. It's between 2.5 and 3 inches. Yep. Where does it say that? Show me where it says that. I will show you where it says that. If I can put in the right pin number. This is okay, right here. Come on, there you go. This is a broad to medium. I'm reading right here. Broad to medium to large, typically 2.5 to 3 inches. Corner notch point with triangular to ovate appearance. 2.5 to 3 inches. Where is it? Right there. Or down here, it says length 42 to 150 millimeter or average 57 millimeter. All right, so where is 57 millimeter? 57 is right there. This is 70. I've got almost 70, and it says 42 to 150. So it can go up to 150. That seems like a lot. 150 is way over here. So that's a lot, right? But the average is 57. Yeah, 150 is almost 8 inches long. That's a huge one. Average 57. All right, so 57. I got almost 70. So it's a little bit larger than average, just slightly. Yeah. it's like 2 3/4. Let's see, where's my that little dark force shaft? Beautiful. Yep, okay. So yeah, at this size I would use it as a dark force shaft. I mean a dark point, but it's pretty big. It's a pretty wide point for that little dart, but it'll fit. It'll work. I don't know what you'd shoot with it being that wide, but I don't hunt with these, so. And I don't have hunting stories, unfortunately. But my hunting stories are just pretty typical. Go out, shoot at a squirrel, miss, shoot at a rabbit, hit, shoot at another rabbit, miss. I've shot at deer, missed. I don't think I've ever hit a deer with an arrow, although I shot them with rifles. And that's pretty straightforward too. You see a deer, shoot it, it runs and plops down, and you go get it. There's nothing to tell. So, let's see. Yeah, that's it. I could thin out that base a little bit more. But I'm not gonna. I'll just offer that. It'll be available in the auction. Okay, hopefully that answers that question. I got a lot of work to do. I'll probably get a lot of it on film. I got a lot more to nap today. Alrighty, that's it.